"Solve this equation and I'll marry you," the professor joked, until the janitor solved it. The storm outside hammered against the tall windows of Hillside University. But inside the grand lecture hall, another kind of storm was brewing, one of humiliation, silence, and a challenge no one expected to matter. That morning, Professor Alden had scrawled a monstrous equation across the board, the kind that sent even the brightest students shrinking into their seats. And then, with a laugh meant to flaunt his own genius, he tossed out a joke that would change the lives of everyone in the room. "Solve this equation and I'll marry you." The class erupted in laughter, but hidden in the far corner, holding a mop and trying to blend into the shadows, the janitor named Sam felt something stir inside him, a mix of pain, curiosity, and the familiar ache of being invisible. If you believe that kindness and second chances can change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe before we continue the story. Your support helps these stories reach more hearts. Sam had worked at the university for almost 7 years. Most students never looked at him long enough to remember his name. They saw a uniform, a mop, and calloused hands, not the brilliant mind buried beneath the weight of lost dreams. Once, Sam had been a promising math prodigy, the kind professors fought over. But life had its own equations, ones filled with hardship, loss, and responsibilities that tore him away from his education before he could ever graduate. His mother's illness, the debts, the jobs he had to take just to keep the lights on, everything had pushed him off the path he once imagined. Now, at 32, he swept the halls he once dreamed of conquering. Every night he cleaned chalk dust from desks full of possibilities that never belonged to him anymore. But something about the professor's mock challenge pierced deeper than usual. Not because of the joke, and certainly not because of the marriage remark, but because Sam recognized the equation. It was an unsolved puzzle from an advanced mathematics journal he used to read years ago, long before life swallowed his ambitions. He had studied its structure repeatedly, chasing its patterns during lonely nights when numbers were his only escape. He never solved it completely, but he got close. He knew its rhythm, its language, its hidden pathways. As the class filed out after laughing off the professor's remark, Sam remained in the empty hall, staring at the board. The rain echoed through the silence as he slowly approached the equation. His heart pounded with the weight of forgotten dreams. He knew he shouldn't. He knew solving it wouldn't change his life, wouldn't erase the years of struggle. But he picked up a piece of chalk anyway, and with trembling hands he began. At first, the lines came hesitantly. His mind felt rusty, like a machine waking from years of sleep. But as he sank deeper into the problem, his confidence returned. The symbols began to flow faster. The patterns fell into place. The steps unfolded naturally, as though the equation had been waiting for him all these years. By the time he finished, a strange stillness filled his chest, an achingly familiar feeling of accomplishment he had almost forgotten he once loved. What Sam didn't realize was that Professor Alden had returned to the hall to retrieve a forgotten briefcase. The professor stopped in his tracks when he saw the chalkboard. At first, he believed someone had scribbled nonsense across his equation. But the longer he stared, the tighter his breath became. Every step Sam had written, every derivative, transformation, and final reduction, was flawless. Not only flawless, but elegant. It wasn't just a solution, it was artistry. The professor watched, stunned, as Sam placed the chalk down gently, almost reverently, like a man setting down a piece of his soul. Sam turned around and froze when he saw the professor's expression. It wasn't anger or ridicule or laughter. It was disbelief tinged with awe, and that frightened Sam more than anything. He expected a reprimand. Instead, the professor walked closer, slowly, as though approaching a miracle. In that moment, Sam felt exposed. Not physically, but emotionally. Every sacrifice, every missed opportunity, every lost year seemed written in that chalk. He braced himself for insult, mockery, dismissal. But instead, the professor asked him one quiet question that broke something inside Sam. How long have you been hiding this brilliance? Sam didn't know how to answer. The truth lodged painfully in his throat. He wasn't hiding, he was surviving, and survival had a way of burying every part of you that didn't put food on the table. The story of the janitor who solved the impossible equation spread through the university like wildfire. Students who had never noticed Sam before now watched him with curiosity and admiration. Professors approached him with questions, opportunities, and offers he never imagined hearing again. For the first time in years, Sam felt seen, not as a janitor, not as a man stuck in the margins of life, but as someone with worth, potential, and a future he thought he'd lost. Professor Alden arranged a meeting with the university board, advocating passionately for Sam to receive a full scholarship. He argued not out of pity, but out of genuine recognition. The board members were skeptical at first, but when Sam solved yet another complex proof right in front of them, a proof one professor had been working on for months, they sat in stunned silence, and then they agreed unanimously. Sam, the janitor no one noticed, became Sam, the student everyone talked about. He exchanged his mop for textbooks, his midnight cleaning shifts for late-night study sessions. But unlike others, he never forgot what it felt like to be invisible. He greeted every worker, thanked every cleaner, and treated everyone with a kindness that came from knowing how much it hurts to feel unseen. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps spread more emotional, inspiring stories to others who may need them. Before we end, here's a small request. Comment below what this story made you feel. In the end, Sam didn't need a professor's joke or a marriage promise. What he needed, and finally received, was belief. Belief in his own worth, belief in second chances, and belief that no matter how deeply buried a dream becomes, sometimes all it needs is one moment of courage to rise again. And in that courage, Sam rewrote the greatest equation of his life, the one that finally added up to hope.